The Chicago Bears defense has really turned things around here in the back half of the season, and a lot of people are looking at why that is, right? You know, you can point to the addition of Montez Sweat, you can point to the secondary being healthy, you can point to Matt Eberflus being a less conservative and more aggressive play caller, and honestly, you would be right about all of those things. However, I feel like what not a lot of people are talking about is some of the growth we've seen from the young pieces on this team. Gervon Dexter has improved steadily throughout his rookie year. Kyler Gordon's quickly emerging as one of the best nickel corners in football. And a guy who was getting a lot of flack from his own fan base early in the season, Jaquan Brisker, just had his best performance of his young career against the Detroit Lions. So in this video, we're going to take a look at that performance where he totaled 17 tackles, had 2 pass deflections, and forced a fumble. We're going to take a look at every single one of those tackles, both those pass deflections and an extra play where I thought he played some pretty good coverage, all in an effort to show off Jaquan Brisker, give him the attention he deserves, and kind of take a look at why he's playing better, what the Bears are doing with him that they weren't doing in the first half of the season, what kind of role he's carving for himself in the Bears defense, and all that good stuff over the next 30 or so minutes. But before we jump into it, I want to give you a quick disclaimer. I am feeling a bit under the weather. I'm a college student. I just wrapped up my semester, so my body went from like hyperdrive to, wanting to slump over and just chill. So I'm a little congested, if you can't tell by my speaking voice. So there's going to be some breathy moments in this and whatnot. I apologize for that, but due to time constraints, I can't sit and edit every little breath I take out of the video. I've tried to overlay music on top of it and, drown it out as much as possible, but you're still going to hear it. I apologize for that. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this and talk about Jaquan Brisker absolutely balling against the Detroit Lions. All right, so our first snap here, we've got a cover 4 look. You can see we've got 2 high safeties. We've got Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson playing off of their respective man here. And Jaquan Brisker eventually is going to come down into the box, which is going to allow Tyreek Stevenson to drop back. This is going to shift from cover 4 to cover 3. Something we've seen a lot of in these last couple weeks with Matt Eberflus is running, more cover 3, less of these too high Tampa 2 shell type plays. Because it was really conservative. That was Matt Eberflus's bread and butter in Indianapolis. It worked there. With Chicago, it hasn't been. So he decided to dial up the heat, dial up the pressure. They're blitzing a lot more. We see Brisker playing up in the box a lot more, which we'll see throughout this video. They'll have even their 3 linebackers in the box, and Brisker will still come up and make it like a 4-4 front here. But anyways, Brisker's going to come up, and his eyes are locked on David Montgomery. He's responsible for David Montgomery, who's going to run a little bit of a swing route here to get himself into the flat. And there's going to be a natural pick here set by Sam Laporta. He's going to come up and sit down in the zone right here. Brisker's going to have to get around that. You're going to see I had it a little bit deeper. It's right here, obviously. So Brisker's got to get around Laporta. Goff wants Montgomery pretty much immediately. This play is set up just to get David Montgomery some easy yards here. So Brisker's going to do a great job of getting around this little, natural pick. And David Montgomery, if you know anything about him, that first cut he makes, typically pretty lethal. So Jaquan Brisker's going to have to deal with that. This cut gets Brisker in a disadvantageous situation here. You can see he's kind of leaning on his heels. He's off balance a little bit, but Brisker does a great job of regaining his balance, getting a hand on Montgomery, and then wrapping him up for his first of 17 tackles on the day. All right, so this second play we're going to look at here from the end zone angle. Again, we've got Eddie Jackson and Brisker as your 2 deep safeties. And what's going to happen is Brisker's going to walk up into the box once he sees Brock Wright shift from tight end to fullback here. And Brisker's going to do a great job of, kind of playing this both ways. So you can see where this might be play action, right? This could be a bootleg, run it to this side. And Brisker does a great job of not over-committing to the run, but also not over-committing to the pass, right? He does a good job of kind of staying in the middle, like, okay, I'm watching the ball. My eyes are on Gibbs. If he has that ball, I'm going to fire to the left. If he doesn't, I'm going to take a drop, sit down as a zone right here, try to make sure number 8 here can't get by me. Once he sees that ball is in Gibbs' hands, he's going to do a great job of getting around Penei Sewell and helping out his teammate DeMarcus Walker there for the tackle. He actually delivers the force on this. Nothing crazy, but again, just a good play. We'll run it back in full speed here so you can see it. Not the craziest play in the world. I'm going to say that for a lot of these. A lot of these are routine tackles, but 17 routine tackles add up. especially when they're in a single game. So good play there by Brisker. For here, we've got Brisker once again lined up in a 2-high shell. I'm not going to do this for every play, but Brisker starts to creep up towards the line of scrimmage. You get the gist. And once he sees this ball is thrown by Goff, this is an RPO, so Goff's slinging it as soon as he can. Brisker's going to do a great job of triggering to the ball. Absolutely no hesitation whatsoever. And he's going to be faced with a guard right here. This guard is the only thing that stands between Brisker and making a play, especially because we have that cutback lane for Khalif Raymond here, which the blocking's really good here. But Brisker kind of leads this guard on like a matador. You'll see he does a good job of getting by him and then kind of pushing off of him to give himself momentum. And then poor Khalif Raymond, you've got TJ Edwards here. You've got Jaquan Brisker about to step into the only lane you have. You've got Andrew Billings coming up from behind. Just good stuff there by Brisker. Not a play that... No, I will say this is a play that jumps off the page. Honestly, the eye discipline here is incredible. Does a great job sniffing out the RPO and making his way all the way across the formation to make the tackle. All right, this is probably going to be the shortest clip so far because this play is nothing crazy, but it's a good play by Brisker nonetheless. This is tackle number 4 for those keeping count at home. We've got 21 personnel here with Brock Wright lined up at fullback. Brisker is going to walk his way up into the box, and like I said, here we've got this 4-4 front with your 4 down linemen and 4 guys in the box, your 3 linebackers, and Brisker acting almost like a sub linebacker for those of you who play Madden. And we're going to see here, David Montgomery is going to have a bit of a cutback lane here, right there. This is his cutback lane right here behind Andrew Billings, and that's going to open up to Jaquan Brisker, who's the only man he has to beat. He kind of spins into it, sloppily gets there, and Brisker jumps in with Justin Jones for the tackle. Again, this one isn't anything wild, but Brisker's eye discipline, getting him in the play, is always a great thing, so no complaints here. And like I said, we got to talk about every single tackle. So here we've straight up got Brisker lined up as a linebacker. We've got Brisker, Edmonds, Edwards, and then Sanborn's lined up over top of our slot receiver here. And this is a good display of run fitting here. So we've got this lineman who's kind of tasked with taking on TJ Edwards and Brisker's really just using this as a point of like, okay, I'm going to stand behind my guy here, use him as a bit of a shield so I can see what's going on. His eyes are in the backfield trying to read this run. And when he sees what David Montgomery has open, David Montgomery can either cut this outside and try to follow this block, or he can try to cut back inside. When Brisker sees that Montgomery has this lane to cut outside, he does a great job of getting out here. This would put Brisker in position to make a play on Montgomery because this lineman is engaged with TJ Edwards. So of course Montgomery has to cut this inside, and Brisker, who, you know, like I said, kind of over pursued a little bit here even, does a great job of using this lineman to kind of like regain his momentum and throw himself across to help out TJ Edwards on the tackle. We'll run that one back in full speed. I really like the eye discipline for Brisker in this game, and again, this is a good example of just fitting the run, making sure a guy can't get into an open lane. All right, so this is one of Brisker's bigger plays of the day. We've got a 3rd down here, again, 2-high shell, and Brisker's actually not going to creep up that much on this one. You're going to see he's going to stay actually deeper than Eddie Jackson here. And Brisker's eye discipline, again, as soon as he sees this ball hit Amon-Ra in the chest, he's gone. And he's going to do a great job of sitting patient, waiting for Amon-Ra to try to make his cut. You can see the lanes opening up right here, and Brisker just does a good job of lowering the shoulder, getting low, taking him down so he can't get the first down. And we get the midway warrior celebration is what Brisker's apparently calling it. I've always liked it. I think it's pretty cool. I know Brisker gets a lot of crap from Bears fans for celebrating a little bit too much. But, I mean, on this play, he puts his money where his mouth is, Again, that quick trigger right there. I mean, he's in stride, ready to take on Amon-Ra before the ball even hits him in the chest. And that's exactly how you want to be in this type of situation. And again, he's the one who initiates that first contact, gets low, lets Edmonds go high. Just beautiful stuff there by number 9. All right, so here we've got Brisker lined up directly in the box, like straight up as a linebacker. And he does a good job of keying in on what this play is right away. You can see he is flying into the backfield because he sees Amon-Ra St. Brown coming across the line of scrimmage. He knows that this is going to be a jet sweep, pop pass, whatever you want to call it. However, Amon-Ra does a great job of following his blocks here. You can see Sam Laporta's got a pretty solid block, and Craig Reynolds does a great job of cutting inside here and getting his hands on Brisker. However, Brisker does not care about Craig Reynolds. He never even looks at Craig Reynolds after engaging with him. He gets his hands in the chest to get that little bit of push, give himself a little bit of momentum, quickly disengages from the block, and then you've got him and Terrell Smith both ready to close in on Amon-Ra, and they get the the duo tackle here, the assisted tackle. Run it back in full speed here just to fill a little bit of time, because this one, nothing too complex, but it was a good play by Brisker. Right, this play right here is rather interesting, and you'll see why. Brisker doesn't do a whole lot, but he gets credited with a lot. You'll see what I mean. So we've got our two high shell here. Brisker's actually ready to drop back in coverage. They're going to run the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs. And Justin Jones is actually in the backfield pretty quick. Beat his man off the snap, gets in the backfield. But Jahmyr Gibbs puts that man in a blender and leaves him in the dust. So Jaquan Brisker does a great job of kind of keying in on the ball here. We'll run it back real quick. So like I said, Brisker was dropping back, does a good job of resetting his feet and pursuing. And he gets the little tail end shove on Jahmyr Gibbs. But when we watch it from the other angle, like I said, this is where you're going to find out something pretty interesting on this play. We'll get a better angle of Justin Jones, too. I actually haven't seen what he does fully on this play. Yeah, so just a 6 swim move. I know this is a Jaquan Brisker video, but that's a great swim move from Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee Justin Jones. So, again, Brisker's keying in here. And Gibbs is giving himself up anyways. But, Brisker gets his hands on him, pushes him out of bounds. And you see Gibbs drops the ball there. And when he does it, I want to see if I can get a good angle. Both his feet are in bounds. So, luckily for Gibbs, this ball goes directly out of bounds. But on the stat sheet, Jaquan Brisker is credited with a fumble here. Now, I'm not here to say take it away from him. I'm all for it. Let him step out a little bit. But it's just really funny because I was having a debate the other day with a friend of mine about who deserved Player of the Week in the NFC. And we were just talking purely off stats. This is before I had looked at the All-22. And I was like, Jaquan Brisker had 17 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. This is not really a forced fumble. I feel kind of fraudulent even bringing that fumble up in an argument. Jaquan Brisker, if you ever see this, brother, I love you. I'm one of your biggest supporters. There's a lot of people on Bears Twitter who, are very expressive in their critiques of you, and I try to suppress them as much as I can. And this isn't even like you doing anything bad. I hope you don't think I'm trying to discredit you. This is just really funny. Jaquan Brisker will not see this video, but just in case. Gotta cover my bases. We'll run it back one more time to make up for my rambling here. But this is it's just funny. Like, I love how goofy stats are in the NFL. And also, he's right there with his boy Kyler Gordon helping him up. I love their little dynamic as 6 and 9. Nice. But yeah, good play by Brisker, all things considered. All right, so again, we've got Brisker and Edmonds lined up as our 2 linebackers in the box here. We're going to see this is a run to the right over here. So once Brisker recognizes that, you can see his eyes are in the backfield. Again, I know this is simple, but I always love pointing out good eye discipline. As soon as he sees that ball is handed to Montgomery, he's in the backfield. Montez Sweat's going to shed this block here and be the first guy to kind of engage with Montgomery. He's going to break this tackle because David Montgomery is really good. Just as a side note, I know I'm a Bears fan and I'm supposed to hate guys that leave the Bears. I don't hate Montgomery. I love David Montgomery dearly. He is my second favorite running back I've ever seen play, like, in my lifetime. Him and Matt Forte are 2 and 1 respectively. Now that my David Montgomery little simp fest is over, you can see Montez Sweat gets up on him. Montgomery fights through the tackle. And while Montgomery's fighting through this tackle, Brisker's fighting through a pretty aggressive block. So this guard's coming across here. Brisker's paying him no mind. He's staring down Montgomery. This guard hits Brisker, gets a little low, but Brisker does a good job of kind of like absorbing the force with his shoulder here. That allows him to not lose his stride. He's able to keep running. So he's one-on-one with Montgomery in the hole. Gets low. Football's a low man wins, right? We hear it all the time. So Brisker gets lower than Montgomery, which is hard to do. Is able to take him down by himself. He gets a little bit of help at the end, but like the brunt of this tackle is Brisker absorbing this contact, and then Yannick Ngakoue comes in and picks it up. It's a really good play by Brisker. I love the way he's able to shed this block and the way he just takes on that contact. Beautiful stuff right there. All right, so this play right here, first of all, if you're a fullback enjoyer like myself, turn away. This is not for the faint of heart, the light of stomachs, so to speak. So we're going to see Sam Laporta shift into fullback here. Just horrible, horrible stuff. No offense to Laporta as a player. He's a really good receiving tight end. But receiving tight ends lying up at fullback gives me night terrors. But we've got Brisker, who we're supposed to be talking about here. Get distracted sometimes. He's kind of creeping up in the box here. And they're just going to straight up hand this ball to Laporta. Gervon Dexter gets a little too excited. He thinks this is going to Jahmyr Gibbs, which opens up a big hole for Laporta here. Goff does a hell of a job of selling this fake and kind of tricking the rookie here. So this guard does a good job of picking up TJ Edwards, and that leaves it one-on-one Jaquan Brisker versus Sam Laporta. And Brisker does a good job of going low, hitting Laporta about in the waist, and making the play. Gets a little bit of help from Amon-Ra St. Brown there, a little bit of friendly fire, but run this back in full speed. Again, just another example of Brisker getting up to the line, then using his eye discipline to make a good play in run defense. I think this got the Lions a first down, but, Brisker minimized. Yep. Minimized, if I could speak, minimizes the damage here. So, good tackle, all things considered. All right, so this play right here is going to take a little bit of context in terms of coverage to explain what's going on to really appreciate. So the Bears come out in a quarter half look. If you don't know what that is, it's also known as cover 6. And essentially what's going on is the Bears are running cover 2 man on this side of the field and then quarters on this side of the field. So you've got Jalen Johnson manned up on a receiver here. You've got Kyler Gordon manned up on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then Eddie Jackson's going to be your safety support over the top like you would have in cover 2 man. Then over here, we've got Jaquan Brisker and Tyreek Stevenson. They're splitting the other half of the field into halves, making it quarters. So Brisker's going to be responsible for in here. And then you've got Tyreek Stevenson's going to be responsible for more of like the boundary, the sideline here. And then your 2 linebackers fill in the middle. Tremaine Edmonds is probably going to stay put, play zone in this area. And then we'll see TJ Edwards is going to have to peel off and pick up Jahmyr Gibbs when he goes into the flat here. So because of these assignments, right? This is covered. This is covered. This is covered. This is going to be covered because TJ Edwards is pursuing the running back. Goff knows this is going to be wide ass open, right? Goff might not be the best quarterback in the world, but he's pretty solid pre-snap, so he can recognize what type of coverage the Bears were sitting in. And because of that, he's going to know that this is wide open. Throws with anticipation. This ball is going to be right here for Khalif Raymond once he turns around. And Jaquan Brisker realizes this. So as soon as he sees that ball leave Goff's hands, you can see the ball's right here. Brisker's in pursuit, is able to get to Khalif Raymond to minimize the damage on this play, so to speak. So this is a really good coverage instincts play. This is pretty much all Brisker has to worry about because this is taken away pretty easily. Like I said, this is covered up. This is covered up. You got Eddie Jackson taking care of this half of the field. Tyreek Stevenson's kind of got over the top here. So Brisker's got to worry about here. And he doesn't really have time to recognize this and then step up to try to make a play on the ball. So this is the next best thing. So this is a really good coverage rep by Brisker. All right, so this play here, we're actually going to be taking a look at Brisker not tackling somebody, but breaking up a pass. He does a wonderful job of. So again, we've got our usual 2 high shell. Brisker starts to come up to the line here. We've got 4 guys in the box. I'm sorry, 5 guys. Jalen Johnson would also be considered in the box here. So Brisker's zone is right here. Brisker's got to take care of this area of the field. He drops back a little bit once he realizes that Tremaine Edmonds, or not once he realizes, but once Tremaine Edmonds gets into position here, Brisker knows he can pick up a little bit of depth, which is going to put him in a good position to kind of pick off or take away this in-breaking route right here. Jalen Johnson got beat off the snap a little bit. So Brisker sitting down right here, and exactly as I said, he recognizes it, tries to make a play on the ball, and can't quite catch it, but, the age-old saying, if he could catch, he'd be a receiver, right? There's a reason he's playing defense, but this is still a really good play by Brisker in coverage, recognizing what's going on, being able to read Jared Goff's eyes. So again, you can see better from this angle. Goff's eyes are here. This is what he wants. He wants this in-breaking dig route, and Brisker recognizes this. Edmonds has got this taken care of. At most, you're going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown getting like a 2-yard gain. Brisker's all right with that. He likes to live life on the wild side. He likes to play a little dangerous. So he's more focused on this route behind him. Does a great job of, maybe if he gets his hands up a little quicker, he could have brought that in. But again, he breaks up the pass. It's good play. Wonderful stuff there by number 9, who we've seen a lot of good in run defense. Now we're starting to see a little bit of good in coverage. Here we go, 3rd and long for the Lions. We've got a 2-high shell here with Brisker and Jackson. And the Bears are just going to run a little bit of prevent here. They don't want them throwing at the sticks. They want the Lions to throw short of the sticks and then rally to the ball, right? So you've got Edmonds playing deep. You've got all your DBs playing deep. It's a 4-man rush. That's exactly what's going to happen. Goff is going to dump this off to Gibbs. And Brisker is, everybody really, but we're focused on Brisker. So Brisker does a tremendous job of, kind of identifying what's going on and triggering to the ball. I know I've said triggering to the ball probably 1,000 times in this video, but Brisker did a great job of that against the Lions. And he's the first guy there to meet Gibbs, and then a big rally gang tackle for the boys prevents the first down on 3rd and long here in the second half. We'll run it in full speed here so you can see Brisker, again, as soon as he sees that ball hits Gibbs' hands, he's like a lightning bolt firing out of the secondary there. Just good stuff there by the group as a whole, but, for the purpose of this video, good job by Brisker. This one we're going to keep brief, but maybe not because I love it. This isn't a crazy play, but again, we've got Brisker up in the box here. And what's going to happen is Goff is going to dump this off to Brock Wright, and Brisker's going to be all over it. So we've got Brisker in zone coverage here. As soon as he sees Goff lock onto and kind of draw back to throw here, he is breaking on the ball, breaking on Wright. Does a great job. He ends up behind him, which is a little bit of a disadvantageous situation, but Brisker's able to wrap him up around the waist, swing him around, and pull him out of bounds. And you're probably thinking to yourself, why do I like this so much? Because I love this play. The reason is because I have watched this Bears defense all year, and for the first half of the season, 90% of the guys on this team would have whiffed on this tackle, which I know is sad, but I am a sucker for the fundamentals, if it's not apparent by my obsession with fullbacks. And just seeing a good fundamental tackle from a safety against a tight end, of all people, again, a play that a lot of our team would not have made early in the season, makes me really happy. And even to this day, like, you ask Eddie Jackson to make this tackle, which is saying very little, he's not doing it. So having a safety that can come up, wrap up a tight end, and bring him down and make a good tackle short of the sticks, it makes me pretty happy, as sad as that sounds. Here on this play, we're really going to see Brisker embody the name of his position, obviously being safety, because what's a safety? They're the last line of defense. On this play, we're not going to see some deep shot where Brisker has to go up and make a hero ball play to break it up, but we're going to see like the tackling equivalent of that, right? So we've got the Bears here in cover 4. We got a 2-high shell. And what's going to happen here is Tyreek Stevenson is expecting this route to go deep, so he's kind of like cheating out right here, expecting, Josh Reynolds here to cut up field, but instead he's going to hit him with a comeback route and get wide open. Now, Stevenson does a great job of recovering here. See the footwork. He's gone from, opened up this way to kind of opened up back inside here, right, to get the ball. Goff's launching it. What's going to happen is Tyreek Stevenson's going to wrap him up, and Reynolds is going to be able to break the tackle. So what happens? Brisker's right there to save the day, wraps up Reynolds, takes him down. In fact, he doesn't even have to wrap him up. He just kind of runs him over, and he's feeling himself on this one. It was a really good play. This is something where, after the play, Stevenson's walking up to Brisker like, hey, man, you just saved my ass. Because if Brisker's not there, if Brisker doesn't make that tackle, Reynolds is probably gone. And this is looked at as a big mistake by the rookie. But instead, he's got his buddy there to kind of bail him out. Just a good play by Brisker, again, embodying the namesake of his position. All right, so here we've got Brisker lined up deep again, and we're going to ignore everything that happens in this area for the sake of my sanity, and just pay attention to what happens when David Montgomery gets to the 3rd level here. So good blocking by the Lions, by all accounts, right? We've got Brisker one-on-one here with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I feel like I'm breaking down defensive lineman film here. You talk about when you're engaged with a blocker, hands in the chest, eyes in the backfield, right? This is the safety equivalent of that. This is like the 3rd level equivalent of that. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown, hands in the chest, eyes in the backfield. Does a great job of shedding this block and just going low, taking down David Montgomery. Gets a little help from Eddie Jackson there. little safety help. We'll run this back one more time in full speed just so you can see. It's a good play here. Does a good job of going from backpedaling to engaging with the block to shedding it to going low on the running back, bringing him down for, a much bigger gain than it probably should have been, but maybe he saved a touchdown there. Probably saved a touchdown there. So we'll take it. Here we go. We're going to look at the second play Brisker makes in coverage here. So what's going to end up happening is he's going to try to pick up Amon-Ra St. Brown here. And because of the way he was lined up, because of the depth he has, Amon-Ra St. Brown has a perfect opportunity to catch this ball and maybe make a move, get Brisker in a bad situation. But instead, Brisker does a great job of breaking on the ball. Goff and St. Brown kind of let this ball drift upwards. And because of that, you've got Brisker here within range of this football, able to make a play. He's going to swat it up in the air, almost picked off by Eddie Jackson. It's a good play in coverage. We'll watch it from the other angle. Gives you a way better idea of what's going on here. But I wanted to start with that angle just so you can see where Brisker starts on the play because he's nowhere to be found. And then as this ball's thrown, there he is. That little blob of color, that little blur. That's our boy Kwani B. And you can see that ball hits Amon-Ra in the hands. Brisker gets a hand in there, tips it out. And if Eddie Jackson would have just been like a foot, in front of where he was, that's a pick. Now, it's not like I'm not saying that was a bad play by Eddie Jackson or anything. It's just, could have been a huge opportunity. But either way, that's Jaquan Brisker knocking the ball out of the hands of one of the most sure-handed receivers in football. So not bad for run support safety that isn't quite the most consistent in coverage. All right, so this one I'm just going to let run. We've got Brisker lined up as one of our two deep safeties here. We're going to watch it from the other angle, and that's where we'll kind of get my analysis. So you can see here, screenplay, Brisker is able to, minimize the damage, play a little damage control here as a defender. So we'll watch this again. So what ends up happening here is it looks like a swing route from David Montgomery, and we've got Brisker over here watching Amon-Ra St. Brown. This turns into a screen, as you can see, from the guard and the center kind of coming up here. That's going to open up David Montgomery. Thanks to Tremaine Edmonds kind of firmly planting himself right here. This gets pushed inside into traffic. David Montgomery makes one hell of a cut. You can see it's Jaquan Brisker versus Dave Montgomery in open field. Brisker does a great job of getting low, hitting him just above the knee, and taking him out to minimize the damages. We'll watch it again from the other angle now that you kind of understand what's going on here. So Brisker, again, he's kind of dealing with Amon-Ra St. Brown here. He does a good job of going from going backwards, playing coverage, to pursuing down here, going downhill to attack the ball carrier, and takes David Montgomery down for, again, damage control, if nothing else, right? It's a good play. All right, here we go. Just a simple cover 4 look. We've got 2 high shell here, as you do in cover 4. I don't know why I felt the need to point that out. That was pretty self-explanatory. So Brisker's responsible for this fourth of the field, and you can see Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to get beyond the linebacker here. He gets passed off to Brisker. That's where Jared Goff wants to go. He wants to hit him in this little window right here. Brisker says, nope, not going to happen. Amon-Ra does get the ball in his hands, but Brisker does a great job of lowering his shoulder and knocking that ball out. Now, didn't have possession, so it's not a fumble. Earlier, little callback when I was talking about, I was debating with my friend about whether or not Jaquan Brisker should have won NFC Player of the Week, and I brought up that fumble. In the back of my mind, this is what I thought they were talking about. I didn't remember that this was ruled an incomplete pass because I just remember this hit. I don't have the other angle of it, but this hit was pretty solid. Did a good job of jarring the ball loose. And again, that's Brisker, who is more known as a run-defending safety, keeping Amon-Ra St. Brown from making 2 pretty big catches. One of the most sure-handed receivers in football. Brisker knocking the ball out of his hands. Beautiful stuff right there by number 9. Just a really good game all around. And now we go to the final play. And finally, this is towards the end of the game. Bears have, on paper, kind of put this one away. So this is when you start taking risks, right? This is when you start as a DB going after the ball, and that's exactly what Brisker's going to do here. So this receiver is going to get to the second level here. This is Josh Reynolds, I want to say. No, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Yes, Donovan Peoples-Jones. And you can see Brisker sees this, and he triggers and tries to make a play on the ball, but he's just out of range. Number 8's able to fly on by him. But Brisker's like, all right, my bad, let me help out. Does a good job of kind of helping out the tackle here because Lord knows Eddie Jackson isn't taking down anybody by himself. I probably shouldn't give Eddie Jackson so much grief. He's made some good plays in his career. He's just not a great tackler. So with the Montez Sweat pressure, you can see a little bit better here. Brisker wants the ball, but it's just out of reach. So he does a good job of recovering here and bringing down the receiver for his last tackle of the game. Run it back one more time here, just so you can see that Montez Sweat pressure, if nothing else. I love Montez Sweat. He's so good at his job, man. The Tez effect, it's real. And it's impacting the Bears in a big way. Jaquan Brisker's benefiting from it. But yeah, that's going to do it, folks. Jaquan Brisker of the Chicago Bears absolutely killed it against the Lions. Best game of his career so far. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts were on this video, what your thoughts are on Jaquan Brisker, any of that good stuff. Do you think he's going to continue to grow? Do you think he's going to max out as a good run defender that has some moments in coverage? Whatever you may think. Please let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to talk about Jaquan Brisker. And also make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. It shows me that you care about my videos and, supports the channel, helps out a ton. I really appreciate it, all that good stuff. But yeah, to everyone out there watching, I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it because you're all wonderful people and you deserve it.